Sairam, Vinod, can we start?
You can start now, Auntie. Sorry.
Sairam to all. Om. 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 Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Saishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Saishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Saira.
Ram and good evening to all the Sai devotees of Sai Sparshan, and we welcome all of you to this 42nd session of Sai Sparshan online satsang. And today, let us remember, it is Shri Plavanama Samvatsara, Uttarayana, Punyakala, Vasanta Rutu, Shuddha Varishaka Masa, Shukla Paksha, Ekadashi, Shivatito, and today is Shani Vasara, Tiruvasara, attributed to the worship of Lord Venkateshwara of Tirumala Tirupati, Sai Venkateshwara, Sri Shanishwara, Navagraha, and Sri Anjaneya, Hanuman, and Maruti. And we worship and remember all of them. And with Sakadeta Swarupa Shri Bhagavan Satya Sai Baba being our chosen God, and offering our humble pranams at the lotus feet, let us start today's session. And let us remember a few events of the last week. On 17th, Monday, we had Shri Shankaracharya Jayanti, called Shankar Jayanti. And we all know Sadguru Shri Shankaracharya was the person who started the Advaita philosophy, and Swami used to quote a number of hymns from Shankaracharya, particularly the Bhajagovindam. And Bhajagovindam of Sri Shankaracharya, which will recite a few slokas. And it was also Sri Gayatri Jayanti. Like we do with Sai Gayatri, Sri Gayatri Devi, the Pranava Swarupini, and the deity of Pranava, the Omkara, Sai Gayatri. Gayatri Jayanti was also on 17th, last Monday. And on 21st, that is yesterday, we had Vasavamba Jayanti and also Nimshamba Jayanti, attributed to the deities, the avatars of Durga, and worshipping and remembering all of them. We will also remember one more today. The special event is Shri Sai Gita Jayanti. That is Sai Gita, which served very ceaselessly and being a very, very ardent devotee of Swami for really 14, it merged with Swami 14 years back. That's in 2007. And we believe that it is celebrated even in Prashanti Nilayam as a remembrance of Sai Gita. And for like what we read in Bhagavata of the Gajendra Moksha of the elephant Gajendra, which when caught by a crocodile and when it shouted for the Narayana, the Vishnu Swarupa Narayana, Sai Narayana, came and released it from the claws and the jaws of the crocodile. Similarly, we are all now almost caught like Gajendras. And only thing is, if we have the same devotion, that is the subject for today, of Gajendra and the Sai Gita, then Swami, like he blessed Gajendra in the Vishnu Sarupa, and as Sai Bhagavan, he blessed Sai Gita, then all of us also will be removed from the class and jaws of the crocodile of the samsara and even presently the pandemic of the corona. It is like a crocodile of today. And above, let us pray God, let us pray Swami to get rid all of us from these kind of crocodilic type of the pandemic which is bothering the entire world. And on 25th, that is next Tuesday, going to be Sri Narasimha Jayanti, Lakshmi Narasimha Jayanti, where Narasimha Swami appeared from the Stamba to kill Hiranyakashipu and give protection to a great devotee, Prahlada. About today, since our subject is on the Bhakti and the Bhaktas, we will cover quite a few of them. And since it's a vast subject, it is like a ocean. And whatever possible, we will try to cover today. And maybe next week we may cover a few more things connected with the same subject, and maybe about the Bhaktas and the Mahabhaktas. And let us today remember about the various great devotees also and the Bhaktas during our talk, and maybe whatever small collections that we have had today, and we will be telling their name, not that it is limited only to those Bhaktas and the names. There could be hundreds and thousands of devotees and in the list, and we'll be able to only cover a few of them today and maybe a couple of them in the coming weeks in the satsang. And let us just recite a few slokas and poems from different excerpts from Sai teachings, and then we'll proceed on the subject. And to start with, let us have from Sai Darshan. Swami says, I give you a lot of opportunity to serve me in others. I give you a lot of opportunities to serve me in others. But I hear you come and complain, saying that, sorry, I was not able to get it done. I was not able to do it. And you will say, I had no time. And you can say, I was tired and we had no time. We are tired. So many excuses. And then Swami says, I again give you a lot of chance to purify yourself, give you more and more opportunities. But again, I see you coming back, choking yourself with selfishness, not able to complete the work given to you or the assignments given to you. Whereas you seem to have lot of time for various useless activities, and that we never complain. We have so much of time which we are using for other unnecessary, useless purposes. So your energy, Swami says, seems high for such superficial events. Some birthday, some marriage, some function, somewhere here, some party, get together. Yes, you have a lot of energy and very high super energy for those super special and superficial events. But I see that which you lack most is your lack of love, lack of bhakti. If you had love, if you had devotion, if you had bhakti, yes, you would have had some more, found the resources and the time to do it. This deficiency left you alone. And that's why you feel that you are forlorn. You are now alone. You are uncalm. You are angry, agitated, always restless, and going hither and there, not able to do anything properly. Look for the chances I give you again. I don't walk away. I don't stop after giving one or two opportunities. I go on giving you more and more chances, more and more opportunities. But only thing is you have to rise above your selfish want, and you have to find an opportunity to do it. And dive in that which I have planned for you. My love for you is the vitamin pill. What is that vitamin pill? That vitamin pill of love, vitamin pill of the devotion. And use that properly. That will cure you of all your present deficiencies. Do not be narrow-minded. The more narrow-minded you are, the more you will suffer. Broaden your horizons and accept me in more than my one form Don't restrict me to one forum and one name, one place, which you know and worship. And broaden your horizon of thinking, broaden your horizon of love. Know that I reside in every one of you, every devotee, or even a non-devotee, every person and every being in this world. Because I have created each one of them, and I reside in each one of them. And look to serve me in them, through them. Anything that you do to any of my creatures are equal to doing seva to me. And Swami says, the avatar in which I have descended can perform any of your so-called miracles for which some of you come and just meet me and take and see the miracle and go away after that. And you have come to see only that. The avatar which I have descended can perform any of your so-called miracles. But I do not give any importance to that. These miracles are not the only purpose of my coming today. Don't attach too much importance to that miracles. Because my real target of miracle is you, to transform you. My coming today are merely to attract your attention Godward by doing all these small miracles, to make you think that there is more than that just science, more than that what a human level can reach. I walk amongst you today to perform a biggest miracle of all, the transformation of your heart from a loveless heart, from a undevoted heart to a devotionful heart, to loveful of heart. And I mold you, and sometimes scold you, sometimes I tease you, sometimes I come and console you, wipe your tears, and sometimes I'll make you cry. And then I come, I wipe all your tears. I shake you, I turn you inside out, and you feel miserable. Yes, puzzle you, answer you, same time, come and soothe you with my love. If only you don't run away, you don't fritter, and you don't escape. And then with my love, I again pull you into my embrace. I start a slow process, a process of change in you. That is what we have thought of the change management. And I want you to change. I pull out the I in you, the ego, and destroy. I awaken your eye to be able to see me properly. This avatar has not come in vain. Not that it had no purpose, not that it has no business in where he was, there in the Vaikuntha. Why I have come down? He is my purpose today. He is to lead all of you Godward, not one or two of you. My purpose today is to lead all of you Godward. I will not give up until my task is fulfilled, unless I see your heart melt. And even if it is a stone heart, even then the stone heart I will make it melt with devotion, with bhakti, and make it fully ask for me, want me. Be sure that once I set my eye on you, I will not leave you until you are transformed. You may even turn me out, and you may even push me out, but I will not go away from your heart, from where I reside. One thing is, keep your devotion properly with you so that you will come up. And Swami also reminds us a Kannada prayer, and which Dr. V.K. Gokak had submitted to Sri Swami during 1967, December 30th, in one of the Seva functions. And this Kannada poem is, ಆಂಧ್ರದ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಬಂದೆ ಪುಟ್ಟಪರ್ತಿ ಎಡೆಯಿಂದ ಬಕುತರಳು ಬಲವಿಂದ ಅರಸು ಬಾ ಸಾಯಿ ಹರಸು ಬಾ ಸತ್ಯ ಸಾಯಿ ಜನಮನದ ಕೊಳೆ ತೊಳೆದು ಚಿತ್ತದ ಸುಳಿ ಕಳೆದು ಮಾಯೆಯ ಬಲೆ ಕಡಿದು ಹರಸು ಬಾ ಸಾಯಿ ಹರಸು ಬಾ ಪ್ರೇಮದ ಹೊಳೆ ಹರಿಸಿ ಸಂತಸದ ತೆರೆ ಬರಿಸಿ ಅವಜಡ್ಯ ಪರಿಹರಿಸಿ ಹರಸು ಬಾ ಸಾಯಿ ಹರಸು ಬಾ ಪ್ರಕೃತಿಯ ಬೆಳೆ ಬೆಳೆಸು ಕರುಣೆಯ ಜಲ ಹರಿಸು ಎದೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನೀನು ಬಂದು ನೆಲಸು ಹರಸು ಬಾ ಸಾಯಿ ಸತ್ಯ ಸಾಯಿ ಹರಸು ಬಾ ದೇವದೇವ ವೇದಾಂತ ಸಾರನಿಗೆ ಸರ್ವಭೂತಾತ್ಮನಿಗೆ ಕೊಡೆಮಡುವೆ ನಿನ್ನಡಿಗೆ ಹರಸು ಬಾ ಸಾಯಿ ಹರಸು ಬಾ ನೀನೇ ನನಗೆ ಗತಿ ನೀನೇ ನನ್ನ ಮತಿ ನೀನೇ ನನಗೆ ತಾಯಿ ನೀನೇ ನನಗೆ ತಂದೆ ಶರಣಿದೋ ಶರಣು ಬಾ ಬಾಬಾ ಶರಣು ಬಾ ಬಾ ಬಾಬಾ ತಂದೆಯೇ ನೀನು ಮಣಿಮಣಿವ ಕರುಣಿಸವು ದೀನ ಬಂಧುವೆ ನೀನು ಹರಸು ಬಾ ಸಾಯಿ Harasubha. And this has been given to Swami, and Swami kept it with him, reading it for several times. And he liked this poem uh, composed and submitted to him by Sri V.K. Goka on behalf of Vishwamitra. And Gurudeva Haradeva Dharegirida Bhagavanta. ಜಗವನ್ನು ಉದ್ಧರಿಸ ಬಂದಿರುವ ದೇವ ನೀನೇ ಗತಿ ನೀನೇ ಮತಿ ಕಾರುಣ್ಯ ವಾರಿದಿಯೇ ಉದ್ದಂಡ ಪಡಮಡಿವ ನಿನ್ನಡಿಗ ದೇವ ನಿಯತಿ ನಿಯಮವ ಮಾಡಿ ಬಾನಿನಂಗಳದಲ್ಲಿ ಸೂರ್ಯ ಚಂದ್ರನ ಕೂಡಿ ಆಡಿಸುವ ಗುರುವೇ ಲೋಕಕ್ಕೆ ಹಗಲು ರಾತ್ರಿಯ ನಿತ್ತ ಮಹಾಮಹಿಮನೆ ಮಹಾಮಹಿಮನೆ ನೀನು ಕಾಲಕರ್ತನೆ ಸಾಯಿ ಮಣಿಯುವನು ಪ್ರಭುವೆ ಕಾಣದ ಕೈಯೊಂದು ಜಗವೆಂಬ ತೊಟ್ಟಿಲನು ತೂಗುತ್ತಿದೆ ಎಂಬ ನುಡಿ ನಾ ಕೇಳಿಬಲ್ಲೆ ಆ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕಣ್ಣಾರೆ ನಾ ಕಂಡ ಪತ್ತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಲೀಲಟ ಮರೆಯುತ್ತಿದೆ ಈ ಜಗದೊಳೆಲ್ಲ ಸತ್ಯ ಸಾಯಿ ದೇವ. And one more quotation from Swami. Swami says, Lord, take my hand. Swami says this. Our prayer should be, Lord, take my hand. Guide me through this day. Fill my heart with love. Please show me the way. Lord, hear my prayer, that I may never stray away from you. Heal my body, heal my mind, heal my soul. Hear me as I pray. Lord, take my heart, soften it today. Cleanse my thoughts, my words, my deeds, purifying me this way. Lord, take my life. Let thy will be done. Whatever you wish, your sankalpa, let it be done. Fill me with full of grace until we merge as one with Sai. And surrender to the Lord, surrender. Oh, my love in fullness of devotion to thee. Oh Lord, take my hands and let them work incessantly for thee. Oh Lord, take my soul, let it be merged in one with thee. Surrender to the Lord, surrender. Take my mind, let it be in tune with thee. Oh Lord, oh take my everything, and nothing of mine. Let me be your instrument. Yes, take my soul, let it be merged in one with thee. Oh Lord, make me your kind of flute in your hand, like Mathuradipate, Akilam Madhuram. And Swami says, and warns also, calamity, danger, and death cannot be avoided for all time. This will happen to everyone, whether you're Sai devotee or non-Sai devotee, and for everyone. And they are inevitable factors of life. You have to learn to live bravely with all of them, as if it is a daily event. This can be accomplished only by uninterrupted prayer, not by spurts of worship, as whenever you like to sit for a few minutes and walk out. It is not by spurts of worship, actuated by sudden fear. When you are little afraid, you will rush to temple, rush to the Sai Mandir, and make some prayer, and then walk out. It is not only actuated by sudden fear. Purify your hearts, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your speech. Strengthen your nobler impulses. Then no panic can unnerve you. Nothing can shake your stability and your prashanti. You should be always in prashanti. Your prayers will be heard and answered. Don't think that God is either deaf or blind. God can hear every whisper of yours. The Lord has no distinction of big or small, high or low, from where you cry, where you shout, where you scream. When in difficulty, pray for guidance to Swami. Before jumping into any one direction, you always jump out of your kind of hurriedness. Men will give you advice only as far as their cleverness. Whomever you will approach when you are in difficulty, to the limited knowledge, to their cleverness, they will give you some advice and what they can reach. But the Lord, who illumines dullness into intelligence, will reveal to you all the way out of the dilemma. Ask the Lord and he will answer. Have patience and wait prayerfully. Very important. Have patience. The moment you pray, don't expect the results to come. Prayer can bring about impossible possible. Recite the glory of the Lord and repeat it the cavern of your heart, his name always. That will bring you always success and always the mergence with Swami. With these prayers, today this topic is a very vast topic. We will touch the topic of what is called the bhakti. And again, what is bhakti? The bhakti is something which we cannot really describe because it is an experience. It is not describable in words. And you don't have a recipe. You put this to put this and put this and put this, and then you will have bhakti. No, there is no recipe. Bhakti has to be experienced, and you will have to undergo that current. And bhakti is the say, is the flow of spiritual current in our mind and heart. There should be that spiritual current. It should flow, for which we have to keep the passage of the flow and the whatever channels fully unobstructed there, so that the flow of spiritual current, it will flow in our mind and heart, so that is what we call bhakti. And bhakti is kind of a deep attachment. If you ask what is the bhakti, bhakti means it is in God, and sometimes bhakti also is kind of a respect, and it is an attachment to your Lord, attachment to God, attachment to maybe your boss, attachment to your work, and fondness is a kind of a fondness. It's a kind of a faith, Shraddha, Shraddha Saburi, Shri Swami, Shri Baba used to always tell, Shraddha, faith. And the devotion is also like the deep love for God. And we can say it is something like Radha's bhakti to Krishna and the Gopika's devotion for Sri Gopala Krishna. And it's a kind of intrinsic. If you ask that what it is, very difficult to explain. Intrinsic. It is internal. It is a surge of emotions. It could be a surge of emotions. And it is an upliftment. And when you are in the bhakti movement, or what we call the bhakti dhara, that's why it's called bhakti dhara. And therefore, in the bhakti dhara, or the bhakti kind of, you are feeling that upliftment will be there. You don't know. Your body will not be static, and it will have been uplifted to another degree of kind of the emotional attachment. And the emotional, when it surges, it becomes an upliftment, and it becomes devotion. And in the devotion level, great energy flows. You will not know what's happening with you. Under the kind of the movement of bhakti in your nerves and in your all actions, it will be there, and you will be almost not conscious of what's happening around you. You may lose your body consciousness also. And the devotion can sprout in anybody, anytime, anywhere. You can't say why and when. You can never say that. It can sprout in anybody, anytime, anywhere. And it has no kind of degrees of bhakti. High grade, low grade, no. There's no grades, no degrees, no temperature, no differentiation. Whether a poor man can be a devotee, a rich man can be a devotee. And no differentiation. Not to quantity also. How many liters, how many kgs, how many tons of bhakti? No, you can't say I have tons of love, tons of bhakti. That word ton is not a proper word to measure or to say quantity. Therefore, bhakti is not a quantity. Swami says quality of bhakti. It may be 1 minute bhakti also. 1 minute bhakti, if it is of quality, it can be greater than your Akhand Bhajan for 24 hours without bhakti. Therefore, it should be through the infinite grace of God. But how can you acquire bhakti? Is it available in any shop? No, unfortunately, it is not. Otherwise, rich people would have bought all the bhakti, and like today, the vaccines and the oxygen, people would have made it scarce and not available for others. So unfortunately, it is not viable. And it is infinite also by Swami's grace. And how it can come? It has to come only through the infinite grace of God. If God wills, your devotion will be there, and your devotion will improve, it will multiply, and it will triumph. And when it comes, the bhakti washes away all the sins of not only your present Janma, and even the past and the present and the future. And Swami used to say that your prarabdha karma I know, your sanchita karma of present I know, and I also know your agami, which is yet to come. And just your prayers with bhakti will wash away all your sins of what are already prarabdha accumulated, the present sanchita which is being accumulated, and also the future agami which is yet to come. Therefore, during the bhakti period. And this we call even bhakti kind of periods. And bhakti, when it comes, you forget yourselves. During, even you would have seen some people who would have come and sat in meditation, dhyana, or even bhajans. Some people may not be even repeating by the mouth, but their heart, their mind, that will be repeating. And Sada Ramanama Japa. Suppose it is a Sada, that means always. It will be going on repeating the God's name. And at that time you forget yourself. If somebody comes and talks to you, someone calls you, somebody even prods you, you will not understand. And they may think, what is these people doing? Are they deaf? And no, you would have become deaf to the worldly kind of sounds. At that time, you forget yourself during what we call the Avesha and the Pravesha. The Pravesha of God in you and the Avesha which it produces a kind of a current of bhakti, and it makes you a kind of a bhakta. And now this bhakti is what is called samadhi state. And in higher level like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and others, we have seen and we have heard that they used to go to samadhi state. In that sama-adi means equilibrium of mind. At that time, the body would have been thinking only of God, and God and body, the soul, would have had much. And therefore, they would have lost the consciousness, and later to bring them back to consciousness, sometimes to take hours and sometimes days. Yes, I mean, just talked about bhakti for some time, although this is not what it is fully comprehensive to some extent. Yes. Now we'll go to the types of bhakti. The types of bhakti is Navavidha bhakti, which is popularly known. And Swami has also given a number of discourses on many of these and even much more. And let us just understand what are these 9 types of the bhakti. And 9 types of bhakti is also called 9 paths to God. Because Swami had said many a time, if you prescribe only one particular path, one particular road to go to some destination, including, let us say, to Puttaparthi, then a lot of people might find it difficult and there could be a lot of traffic jam. So in order that each person can reach the destination of God more easily, he made different types of paths suitable, convenient, comfortable, and to suit each one of the types of devotees. And the first is called Shravanam. The Shravanam is one of the easiest, simplest method. Shravanam is just listening. It is, listening means how? Many a time we put a tape recorder or cassette recorder or nowadays video, and then that will be putting its sound, putting its song, putting its bhajan, and somebody will be somewhere else, and they think, yes, we are listening. Listening is not hearing. Hearing and listening are different. Hearing is just the sound is heard, but listening is understanding each of those notes, each of those modes, and understanding it deeply. Shravanam. Listening of what? Listening of anything? Listening of the God's name, listening of God's bhajan, listening of the Shrutis, listening of the Upadeshas, listening to the Puranas and the Mahavakyas and the various Mahagranthas. And Shravanam. Shravanam is listening. And Shravanam also means the reading. Reading and listening. Both comes under the Shravanam. Kirtanam. Under the Shravanam, we know lot of devotees, particularly the Guru Shishya Parampara. There, Shishya used to just listen to a Guru. And by just listening to Guru, Shishya would also accumulate everything that Guru used to teach. That is one of the way of Shravanam way of doing it. By just listening, they could grasp and they could understand. The second is the Kirtanam. Kirtanam is singing. Singing the glory of God. Singing what? Not some humming of something, some sound, but singing of God's glory. And the bhajans and the kirtanas that we have heard and which is very popular. In fact, the kirtanam is one of the movement that what we are seeing in our Sai Mandalis and Sai organization more. Kirtanam. Because Swami himself gave a lot of importance to this kirtanam, the singing, the bhajans, and all these things, particularly kirtanam. And also, it could be a song. Many times Swami used to sing a lot of songs. And Swami used to himself sing as a good musician. He used to sing the songs of one Tyagaraja. Tyagaraja is Sant Tyagaraja, and who was a great musician, come saint. And therefore, he himself used to sing well. And he used to make others repeat. Kirtanam should not be one person singing and all of others keeping mute. Although in online, it is required to be mute, but not in the regular involvement. You should not be a mute singer. You should be an active and participative, involved singer. Therefore, that is Kirtan. And the example for this is the devotees like Tyagaraja, Purandardasa, Kanikadasa, and many more such deity, people like even Sri Santa Tukaram and Sri Tulsidas, Kabir, and many more such people who are even Mirabai and Andal, who wrote the Tirupavai, and many other such the great Purushas and the Mahabhaktas. The Kirtanam is the next one. Kirtanam is yes, another easier way of making our path to God easy. So bhajan, Kirtanam, and Swami used to say Sankirtanam. The Kirtanam is just singing. Sankirtanam, forgetting yourself and singing. And singing quite sometimes loudly, sometimes so that the vibrations reach the multitude of people, not only the person who is near you. The bhajan should be as kind of loud. Loud means it should not be shrill, not shrill, but loud, so that it is properly reasonable and repeatable by others. The next is Mananam. The Mananam, Dhyanam, Smaranam. See, the Mananam, Dhyanam, Smaranam. And Swami Shri Baba used to say, you are Anusmarana. Smaranam is going on continuously repeating the name of God. It is not just one time. That's why so many times they say, repeat Sai Gayatri 3 times for our convenience, sometimes 12 times. There's other people say 36 times, 108 times, 1008 times. Why this number of times? Is it that to spend your time? Is it that just some number? It is just not that. It is the more you repeat. But when you repeat, it's not seeing the watch. Oh, time is over, now I'll do only this much. Not close your eyes. Shut yourself to the kind of watch, whatever it is. Then whatever time that you could find to meditate, repeat the name as many times as you can. No need of even counting. Although the Rudrakshi beads, other things for that to count, just for a kind of initial thing. Later, you forget the Rudrakshi bead, you forget this counting, forget everything, and only Nama Smarana, Smarana, Smarana. And Smaranam, that's a Narada, is a great example of just only telling Narayana, Narayana, Narayana. Nothing else. Naradiya Sangita. It used to be a kind of this Mananam, Dhyanam, the deep meditation, and Smaranam, Nitya Smaranam. Because we have got a lot of bhajans. Because as we go through all our bhajans, properly understand each bhajan can be a subject of satsang program on the future occasions also. Each bhajan has so much of kind of divine life in it. And next is Pada Sevanam. This is Pada Sevanam. Worship of the feet of the Guru, worship of the feet of the Lord and God. And that's what is that Pada Sevanam. Many times it started in the Gurukulas, where the Shishyas used to go and always worship the feet. And they used to serve them, even press their feet. And Guru's wife, and Guru Patni also. And even we have learned or heard in Bhagavata and Mahabharata, even Krishna. Lord Krishna did this with Guru Sandipini. And even similar Rama and Lakshmana, but Shatrugna did it through Vasishta, their Kulaguru, and when they were learning in the Gurukula. And about the Pada Sevanam, there were many a time the Guru may not even teach you anything. Just going and serving him. If he says, bring this flower from there, go and pluck the flowers and give it to him. And if he says, bring the water, give it to him. If he says whatever it is, doing what the Guru says, or the God says, that doing the Pada Sevanam, this can apply. You are doing it to elderly people, to the sickly people, to the weak people, to the unfortunate people. This is also Pada Sevanam. Pada Sevanam is just not only Pada, although it's worship of the feet of the Lord. But at the same time, anything that you do as Seva, particularly in Sevadanam, all people who are in Sevadanam have been doing it excellently well. And that's why Swami used to always love and bless the Sevadanam people always. And next is the Archanam. The Archanam is worship. There are some people who knows a lot of mantras, stotras, shlokas, and ashtottaras, and even laksharchanas, sahasranama. Through all this, Lalita Sahasranama, Durga Saptashati, and so many of Satya Sai Baba's Ashtottaram, Sahasranamas, and all this doing Archanam. You can worship with flower, worship with various other items, the Patram, Palam, Toyam. Swami used to say even with water, with whatever that you can do with devotion. And Archanam. Archanam is also worship, pujas, and homas, yagnam, lot of homas also. There are also Archanam. It is worshipping God through the homa and making all this thing out of this, putting the ghee into the homa, and there, in the homa what we do? It is just burning all our desires, burning all the Arishadvargas, the 6 Shadvargas, which has to be burned during the homa and yajna and all this puja, the archanam way of pleasing God. The next is vandanam. The vandanam is, we have seen a lot of people who go to a temple or even Sai Mandir. They'll be going and prostrating, even Prashanti Mandir, Prashanti Nilayam. They never used to even participate in bhajan. They never used to sit when Swami's even darshan used to be there. And they used to go on participating, going on, taking round and round, encircling and circumambulation, prostrating the God or the temple, and that is vandanam type of thing. And they go on doing this. Even some people do what is called Urulu Seva, and they go on rolling and doing this. And each one of them has their own kind of woe or kind of a feeling of satisfaction, and they get sanctified. So the vandanam. The next is dasyam. The dasyam is a kind of servitude or serving, and whatever opportunities we get. And today I think we understand from Satsa organization this Nitya, what is called giving food to the particularly affected people of Corona. The people, families who are affected and who are in their house and who cannot go for food and all these things, prepare homely food and distributing through our Sai organization also. And it's a wonderful, excellent program. And whoever can really participate in this, it's a wonderful opportunity, as has been already told by our All India President. And about this dasyam. Dasyam is not missing any opportunity to serve God. And Swami has himself said, serving God means what? We wait until Swami comes and stands before us, saying that Swami, you have not come, for we have not served you. And for serving God, Swami says everybody is God, everybody is Swami. About thinking like that, doing every service, every opportunity of seva is becoming dasyam. That is a service to God. And the next step is yai. There are all steps. That's why we call Navavida Bhakti, the Navavida steps. 9 steps, like 18 steps to go to Shabarimalai. And we all learned about it. 18 golden steps when we climb up to go to Shabarimalai. Similarly here, the 9 steps of Bhakti. It is all steps. Sakyam. Sakyam is nothing but friendship. Having friendship with God. You would have seen many a time when Prashanti Nilayam, some people, some foreign ministers or some people would have come, who knows, are being devoted to Swami for a long time. Swami goes and stands with them, puts his hands on their shoulders, and even pats them on their back, and even blesses them several times. And for the Sakyam, and he talks to them very endearingly, and he inquires about everything of their welfare and their house, family, everything. Sakyam, it is becoming a friend of God. And we know by examples who was like this. In the Ramayana, we heard about Sugriva, and Sugriva made friendship with Rama, and Rama sought his friendship. And then he also, because of friendship, he killed Sugriva's elder brother Vali. And also later, we have also seen in the Sakyam, but this thing, kind of friendship, a friend in need is a friend in deed. That means your friend always says, once a friend, he is a friend. And a friend in need is a friend in deed. And about, he remains a friend. And that to a friend to God. Sugriva, that's why until the end, he fought entirely, even giving up his life for the purpose of getting back Sita Devi from Ravana's Ashokavana. And about, similarly, another friendship thing is in Mahabharata and Bhagavata, we heard about Sudama. He is Sudama, who was a very poor person, a Brahmin, and was also a classmate of Sri Krishna in Sandipini Ashrama. And when Sudama returned back after these studies were over, Sudama remained a poor person, and he was of the opinion that why should I ask anybody for anything? And he didn't want to ask anybody. He used to go to for bhiksha for some houses, whatever he used to get, he used to be happy. But he had a number of children, and his wife sometimes was angry with him. And we even rebuked him, saying that, why don't you go and ask your friend Krishna, who has become now the Dwarkadisha, the emperor of Dwarka, and is a very rich person, he'll give you something. But Sudama refused. But later, he accepts and goes, taking some avalaki with him, and then that beaten rice. And then Krishna accepts it and takes it, and he says, Tuptosmi. And by the time that Sudama comes back and sees his village, then lot of this richness and would have come to them, their big house and all kind of good kind of progress and prosperity would have been already blessed by Sri Krishna. So this is again another kind of example of friendship bhakti. Another is also, we have heard about Shabari Bhakti. The Shabari Bhakti is about deep devotion. And for her, she was told by her guru, Matanga Rishi, that Ramachandra has been born from as the avatar of Vishnu, and then Ramachandra will come one day. And then you wait until he comes and you feed him with some fruits. So Shabari would have been collecting, the old woman, Shabari, would have been collecting lot of ripened fruits. Sometimes even it would have been also not been properly tasted. She used to taste each one of them before giving to Rama. Rama accepts it and he doesn't mind even the half-eaten fruits given by Shabari. Shabari Bhakti is one of the greatest bhaktis again. And similarly, Jatayu. Jatayu was a friend of Sri Dasharatha, father of Ramachandra. He gives up his life fighting with Ravana when Ravana was carrying Sita. And above this also, we have seen Jatayu type of friendship. The Atmanivedanam. This is the final step. After all these steps, not that you should go step by step. Sometimes there are people who would be even climbing Tirumala hills. Many a time, 3 steps once, 4 steps. Also, younger people, youth, with a lot of energy. Sometimes, your people, if you are really endowed and you have got good devotion, you may not have to go through each step by gradual progress, but you can even climb higher. And the last step when you come is Atmanivedanam. There is nothing more than what else you can give. Give me all of mine. Give all of mine to God. That means when you give all of mine, what you use that word mine, that I ego would have been with us. And when we say that in the Atma Samarpanam or Atma Nivedanam, you give everything including your I ego. And God waits until that. Because until all these things, I did this Sachanam, I did this Sakyam, I did this Padasevanam, I did this Shravana, all this I would have been there. Here in the Atma Nivedanam thing, you burn that I ego fully and finally like camphor. That's the camphor is the example. The camphor burns fully, do not leave any trace, and it gives light to others. And the Mangalarati, that's why Mangalaharati is done to the camphor arati. So it is the thing of Atmanivedanam. And in this, we know about, it's also called Sharanagati Bhakti. Sharanagati Bhakti is surrender, total surrender. When you can do your Atmanivedanam, means you offer yourself completely. It is what they call Sharanagati Bhakti. It is Vibhishana. Vibhishana Ramayana is a classic example. Similarly, Prahlada, Dhruva in the Bhagavata are classic examples. And where they gave everything to Swami. And he said, Swami, let your grace, let your will be done. Whatever may happen, you are with me. Why do I fear? Why fear when I am here? And for them, they become fearless. Another 2-3 minutes, we will be closing today's topic. And then there will be a bhajan. And this is what caused the Atma Nivedanam Sharanagati Bhakti as the Navavida Bhaktis. And then we also said about the Bhaktas, that is Bhaktas. Again, as I said, we could take it in the next sessions also, whenever we get the opportunity, the Bhaktas. And then also there is what's called 8 flowers of worship. The worshipping is done through 8 flowers. That is called Ahimsa, Indriya Nigraha, that is sense control, Sarvabhuta Daya, Shama, Shanti, Tapas, Dhyana, Satyam. These are all 8 flowers through which you can worship God. And the Bhaktas. Bhaktas, according to Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, there are 4 types of Bhaktas who come. One is Arti. Arti is who is in need, he is in problem, like today in COVID, or in terms of medical emergencies. Arti, he is in need. He may not be a devotee of Swami, he may not cry Sai Ram, but he will be in need. And Arti. And then Artharthi. The Artharthi is person who wants help, either for education, job, finance, marriage, children, so many supports, gain benefits from God. That is Artharthi. The Gnani, the person who wants to pursue higher education, pursue knowledge, pursue Veda Upanishad, pursue various other higher literature. Jnani, and wants to know about God, the spiritual knowledge. And the fourth is the yogi or the jignasi. And fourth is the yogi or jignasi who comes to God only for moksha or moha kshaya. And therefore, these are the four types of devotee. And Swami has said that out of this, the Gnani type and the yogi or jignasi type bhakta are the best. And we should try to become one of these, not end up being number one arti or number second artharthi. And therefore, there are so many bhaktas who belong to these various categories, which we'll go into next in the next session. We'll cover them. Therefore, bhakti leads to virakti. What is virakti? Virakti is the lose interest in worldly objects and desires. And virakti is the attraction. And nirukti, and then virakti. And therefore, virakti is to fully kind of absence of all the interest and renunciation of all the worldly objects and vasana. And then this leads to moksha, and virakti to vimukti, and vimukti to jivan mukti. Jivan mukti is the moksha, moha kshaya. And therefore, this is what should happen. Let us all fully believe that Swami will enable all of us, if you have proper devotion, to reap the benefit of bhakti, which is a seed, to reap the benefits of fruit, that is the grace of God, as the last kind of final result, final benefit. And with this, let us all pray for Sai Mukti and let the burning of our I, the ego, so that we all merge with Swami ultimately and all become Sai only. Saira, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. One bhajan, and we are closing this session today.
Saira. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Satsangatve Nisangatvam, Nisangatve Nirmohatvam. Satsangatve Nisangatvam, Nisangatve Nirmohatvam. Nirmohatve Nishchalatatvam, Nishchalatatve Jivan Mukti. Nirmohatve Nishchalatatvam, Nishchalatatve Jivan Mukti. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Saira.
Sairam, and best wishes and thanks to all of you. Let Swami bless all of us through this crisis and also in all our worldly problems, and so that we all become Jivan Muktas. Sairam. Thank you.
Sairam, uncle.
Sairam.
Sairam.
Sairam. Sairam.